Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial. In today's video we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful top with dolman sleeves, and it has button at the front. So let's get started. From my starting line, I'm going to take my bust point measurement, which is 11 inches. I also go ahead to take my waist measurements, which is 17 inches, and the full length of my blouse, which is 24 inches. Now I'll be connecting all the dots together to get a straight line. Since this is a cut together sleeve, I'm going to take half of my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5 inches, and I'll add 8 inches extra for the length of my sleeve. So this is a cut together sleeve. We're cutting the sleeve together with the bodice, so I'm using 8 inches for the length of my sleeve. After marking 8 inches, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. For my round sleeve measurement, I'm going to divide it by 2. If you have 20, divide by 2, that's 10, and that's what you're going to add. You can decide to add 1 inch allowance. I added 1 inch allowance, and I came in by 1 inch for the curve. The next thing I'm going to do now is to take my neck width, and this is the back pattern we are drafting first. So the neck depth, I'm going to use 1.5 inch, and the neck width is the standard neck width, 3 inches, and I'm just going to connect. I'll just go ahead to label my lines. Now I'm going to connect my sleeve together, starting from the shoulder slope. On the bust point line, I'm going to divide my bust measurement by 4, and I'll add 2 inches sewing allowance. The waistline, I'm going to take my waist measurement, divide it by 4, and I'll add 2 inches sewing allowance. On the hemline, which is the length of my blouse, I'm going to use my hip measurement, divide by 4, and I'll add 2 inches allowance as well. And now I will be connecting from my round sleeve to the bust line, connected to the waistline, and also the full length of my top. Now for that stylish effect at the bottom by the side, I'm going to go up by 2 inch, and I'll connect it to the length of my blouse, and I'll be cutting this out. Then we can move over to the drafting of the front pattern. So I have 1 inch allowance before placing my back pattern on it. So that 1 inch allowance is what we're going to be using for the button. I came down by 7 inch for the depth of my front neckline, and the width is going to be 3 inches. So I'm just going to connect this to get a V neckline. You can decide to come down as much as 7, 8, or 9 inches, depending on how you want the neckline to be. So after connecting, we're going to move to the down part of this top. Now I'm going to add extra 2" to the length of our top, so we can have that V-shape slant at the bottom. So I'm just going to extend the front part of the sleeve. Now from my waistline, we're still on the front piece. From the waistline, I'm going to come down by 1" and I'll come in again by 2". I'm going to connect these 2" to that 1" we came down by on the waistline. So just look at what I'm doing. So now I'm just going to cut this out. So for the slant, you can decide to cut it the way I marked it, or you can decide to cut it the way I went ahead to cut it. You can see how I cut the front piece. So this is optional, you can just do as you please. So I went ahead to use my pattern to cut on my fabric, and I cut my fabric on fold. So here is my front piece and the back piece. I added ½ for sewing allowance, and I'm going to use the same fabric as my lining for the front piece. I could not use it for the back piece because I used 1½ yard for this top and it was not enough. So I used black lining to line in my back piece. So I'm going to turn the neckline, the sleeve, and also the bottom part of this top with my lining. I'll be doing the same thing for the back and the front. Here's my front piece, and I have same fabric for the front. So I'm going to fold the bottom part, the neckline, the buttonhole area, and the sleeve of my top. So this is what it's looking like. I could not iron this top while making it because there was no power supply. So after doing this, I'm going to finish this by the shoulders. I'm going to use the lining to turn the shoulders inwards. I'm going to show you what I'm saying. So you take your lining and you sandwich your main piece to it, and you're going to sew this round. I'll be doing it for the both shoulders. After I was done stitching the shoulders of the top, this is what it is looking like. You can see how neat this is. The stitches are inside this top. This top is going to have a belt at the back. So this is the piece I'll be using. The length is 30 inches and the width on fold is 2 inches. So the width is going to be 4 inches. When it is on fold, it becomes 2 inches. So I have 2 pieces for the belt we're going to be attaching to the side of this top. I will just use my chalk to create a stylish curve at the end of the sleeve, which is going to be on the outer part of this top. If you do not want to add a belt to this top, it is optional, but adding a belt will make it more stylish and give it that snatch effect on the waistline. So I'm just going to sew this and I'll be attaching it to the side of my blouse. So I pinned the front part of my blouse where I'm going to be adding my buttons. I used my pin to hold them in place. So I'm just going to take my bust measurement, my waist measurement. Basically, I just use 1 inch to stitch this top down. I just use 1 inch. You know, we added ½ inch seam allowance to it, but I just use 1 inch to shape the both sides. So from my armhole curve, I'm just going to come down by 4 inch, and that point is where I will be adding my belt. After attaching my belt, I went ahead to get my buttons. I'll be using 5 buttons for this. So it depends on how many buttons you want to use, the kind of button you want to use. I just used this plain black button and I got 5 of it. I'll be attaching it to the front part of this shirt. The button is going to be on the right side while the buttonhole will be on the left side. And that will be all for this tutorial. Let me know if you find this tutorial very helpful. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and also share. Do not forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I will be seeing you in my next tutorial, and we'll be learning how to make the trouser I paired this top with in my next tutorial. Do stick around, and I'll be seeing you in my next one.